Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video, and this is another American sports reaction, and this is by 5 Point Vids, and the video is the biggest sports chokes of the decade ranked. I'm assuming this is to do with American sports, because he tends to only do American sports from what I've seen on his channel, but I could be wrong. Nevertheless, we're going to see this video, and I know it's going to be a very good one, because these sorts of titles are just the ones that I end up enjoying the most, but I don't know I hope he involves every sport. I don't know if he will or not, if he involves like more basketball, more hockey, or whatever it is, but intrigued to see nevertheless. And we're going to see them. I'm probably have heard about a few of these through just previous videos, but a lot of these I probably never have done, and I'm excited to see about the failings of other teams in the past decade. And yeah, let's check this out and see who and what he involves in this video.
Choking. Some people think it doesn't exist in sports, that when it comes to the outcomes of games, the winner truly earned it. And to some degree, that's true. But let's put determinism to the side and look at what choking really is. It isn't getting outplayed. It isn't always blowing a lead or losing to an underdog. Oh no, it's juicier than that.
Okay.
Bad decisions, stubbornness, ignorance, apathy, laziness, arrogance, poor preparation. Choking exists. So much of it, in fact, it was hard to narrow this list down. And we're gonna relive all of these awful moments. The biggest chokes in sports of the decade is coming up right after this. Bros, the math doesn't lie. Women absolutely prefer a...
It's a promotion again, what to say? I mean, I'm not complaining, mate.
Let's look at this. Oh, you can even get
I'm not complaining, that was a shock to the system.
20% off for free. Come on, it's time to live on
Get your money though, bro, get your money.
Manscaped.com. Number 10, UVA versus UMBC. This one might have topped the list had UVA not gotten an additional year in the decade to redeem themselves. From 2013 to 2017, UVA became a basketball powerhouse. Their second 30-win season in school history gained them a number 2 seed and ended in the Sweet 16s. They chased that with another 30-win season, another 2 seed, and a second-round exit to Michigan State. Again. The next 2 years bumped in the Elite 8 and second round. In 2017, they were back to prove the haters wrong. A 31-win season, the number 1 overall seed, destiny, awaited. In the first round, they squared up against the 16th seeded UMBC Retrievers, a team named after a gregarious dog who finished second in the America East Conference. And from the opening tip, it was clear UVA was in trouble. Remember, in every tourney since 1939, no number 1 seed had ever lost to a 16th seed.
Jesus.
And this wasn't Georgetown versus Princeton. This was an ass whooping. UMBC came out gunning, hitting half of their threes, out-rebounded the Cavs 31-21, and the most telling stat was UVA going 4 for 22 from deep as they wrestled with a chicken bone.
What is that as a percentage? 4 from 22? Well, 4 out of 20 would have been like 20%. So that's what, like 18, 17%? Oh, Jesus, man. You can't get more worse. You can't get any worse than that. Is actually awful.
In their
Jesus
neck
Christ.
all night. All told, the old Yellers put down the Cavs by a final score of 74-54. And they didn't even need every break on the planet like UVA did the following year to show them what was up. This may be the only time a 16 will ever beat a 1.
Jesus, man.
Number 9.
See, in comparison, for anyone who watches soccer, give me sort of like an idea of just how crazy it is. Like, is it of like maybe someone in the League 1 or League 2, for people who know the Premier League or English football, like League 1 or League 2 beating like Man City? Like, is it sort of that sort of level? Because if that's the case, that's wild, man.
When it comes to teams that don't like each other, fewer teams featured as much acrimony as the 2010s version of the Sharks and the Kings.
Bro,
following a split of playoff series in 2011 and 2013, the two teams met up again in 2014 in the first round. Game 1 would be telling, as even though the Sharks jumped out to a 5-0 lead and chased Jonathan Quick, the Kings showed no quit and made it 5-3, ultimately losing 6-3. The Sharks cruised to 7-2 and 4-3 wins respectively and a 3-0 lead. However, this Kings team, who had won a cup 2 years prior as an 8th seed, weren't ready to throw in the towel. In LA, they fought off elimination 6-3. They pulled within 1 3-0 in San Jose. They tied the series 4-1 in LA, and it was clear the Sharks were in trouble. Only 3 times prior in the NHL had a team come back from 3-0, and Game 7 in San Jose had a lot of Sharks fans nervous. And this wasn't even close, as the Kings stomped the Sharks into hiding 5-1, completing the reverse sweep, and then 6 weeks later, hoisting the cup. You could say the Kings just got it together, but the Sharks had opportunities to put the series away, especially in Game 6, but bad luck and squandered power plays in Game 7 did them in. Number 8, the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. I mentioned arrogance earlier. When you're the defending champs, go out and win the most games in one season in NBA history and have the team who you whipped last year in the finals facing 3 straight elimination games, maybe you do get a little cocky. Once the memes began hitting the internet, it seemed like there was no shot that the Cavs would pull off an unlikely comeback, as the mighty 73-win Warriors looked to put the crown on a season not seen since 20 years earlier. But never count out LeBron and ref ball. Game 4 featured a turning point, as Draymond Green and his love of nut sacks helped extend the series so Adam Silver could woo some more China money. Green would be suspended for Game 5, then in Game 6, an epic foul fest that reeked of Kings-Lakers 2002. The stage was set for Game 7, and it seemed like the Warriors really wouldn't choke this away, would they? In true NBA scripted fashion, Game 7 was epic, and it headed down to the final possessions. Kyrie Irving bailed out LeBron and cast the Warriors into an angry fit, which led to Kevin Durant and back-to-back teabaggings of the Cavs. But for all their arrogance and trash-talking, the Warriors' dynasty ended with 3 rings instead of 6. Number 7, full read.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
I'm not
nice
even
to see you
again.
finally decided to bring a real expert onto your show. All right, Chiefs, big collapse. What do you do when you're seen as a coach that can't win the big game and you get run out of town? Well, you pick yourself up right off the mat and get back to work. In 2013, Andy Reid, in his first season as head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, had his team playing quietly great football in the shadows of Peyton Manning's record-setting season as he orchestrated the greatest offense the NFL had ever seen. Now, Kansas City jumped out to a 9-0 start behind fellow and unfairly labeled game-managing quarterback Alex Smith, who made hiring Reid look like the right move until they lost 5 of their last 7 games and limped into the playoffs as a wild card.
Okay.
This is called foreshadowing. Facing the Colts in the first round, things couldn't be going better for the Chiefs, jumping out to a 21-point lead at half, and the Colts coming out of half threw a rare Andrew Luck interception. And the Chiefs were ready to seemingly deliver the knockout blow with their ensuing touchdown. Seemingly. Now the Colts mounted a furious comeback, a touchdown drive, an Alex Smith fumble, another touchdown drive, a forced 3-and-out. Heck, at 5:50, Luck threw another interception, and the Chiefs had to settle for 3 points. The Colts got the ball and ran down the field again. Touchdown. Another stalled Chiefs drive. Then the turning point, the thing that has haunted the Chiefs forever. Their defense. Last year they had Patrick Mahomes playing what many hailed as one of the best QB performances ever, but their defense cost them a chance at getting to the Super Bowl. Dating back to 2013, the Chiefs have remained clueless on how to build a defense with a masterful Andy Reid leading the offensive charge. Trailing by 10, the Colts marched into the Chiefs' territory. On the Kansas City 2, they did the smart thing and handed the ball off to Donald Brown, who fumbled. However, Andrew Luck, being the Stanford grad that he is, didn't quit on the play and punched the loose ball in for a score. It was now 41-38 with over 10 minutes to go. Step up to the counter and place your order, Andy, because the only thing you can make disappear faster than a 28-point lead is 28 chicken wings. But the Chiefs, they did the right thing. They ate up clock. However, they inexplicably passed...
Ate some fat clock. I read that wrong. Without the L in the clock. I won't say that.
Second and third down on their subsequent drive, ending in a field goal. Okay, they're up 44-38 with 5 minutes and 36 seconds to go. You should be able to hold the opposing team from scoring a touchdown. But in one play, that 28-point lead was gone, all because of T.Y. Hilton, who Andy Reid forgot the game plan for because he just kept seeing T-C-B-Y ice cream when he looked at the
It's actually yogurt.
Now the Chiefs' last drive looked how you would expect it from a team that just blew a 28-point lead. A microcosm of their season and the game. In 2 plays, they were in Colts territory. 4 plays later, the game was over, and the second largest comeback in playoff history was complete. So keep trying, Andy Reid. You've got Patty Mahomes now, and maybe Steve Spagnuolo is the right defensive coordinator for you.
To be fair, they did go on to win it a few months after he was saying this, but the second ever biggest comeback loss, sort of the second biggest comeback in NFL playoff history, happened a few years back in the last decade. That's wild. And the fact that this is 7th or 8th, it's kind of crazy.
Number 6, lightning strikes. It's one thing to blow a huge lead, it's another to be the season-long favorite. Shove your chips forward for an all-or-nothing run and absolutely not show up at all. That's what the Tampa Bay Lightning did to close out their decade.
I like how he's doing all sports as well. I really do enjoy that.
And after acquiring every ex-Ranger they could find and putting up the most points in their conference for the 2nd straight year, they got a dream matchup against a Columbus Blue Jacket team that limped into the playoffs.
Okay.
So when they jumped out to a 3-goal lead in the first period against their former coach, John Tortorella's team, you could see reporters getting ready to bear the brunt from one of Tort's rants. But then Nick Foligno scored. Then David Savard. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and that was choke 1. And from then on, it wasn't even close. The ex-Rangers showed why they didn't win a cup on Broadway, as their run and gun style got clogged up by the Blue Jackets' gutsy, methodic play. 5-3, 3-1, and 7-3. The Lightning, heavy favorites to win it all, were swept out of the first round like dust in a clean room. I guess you could say Torts weathered the storm. Number 5, I'll blow your house down. A lot of sports decisions nowadays are based on analytics and percentages. But what happens when the percentage is 0? The Rockets found out in 2018 when they hoisted up enough bricks to protect an entire pig farm from the big bad wolf. Donut for 27.
What?
Straight. Even worse, it was in a Game 7 where the traveling man James Harden could shed his lifelong label as a joker. Here's some things people forget. The Rockets were actually up 15 and planning their finals itinerary when the streak started. They proceeded to miss 25 straight while the Warriors hit 11 of 21 and flipped the lead.
Oh my god, how have I never heard about this?
To 13 in their favor. The futility started in the second quarter and lasted all the way to 6:30 left in the fourth quarter. In total, they went 7 for 44 from beyond the arc, with Trevor Ariza at 0 for 9, and during the streak, Harden went 0 for 10. A choke like that falls squarely on everyone involved.
That is wild.
The Wolf.
Why have I never ever heard about that? They went 0 from 27 and... That is wild, man. So what was the initial score then? I will skip back to this part, but what was the initial score? So it was 36-48, so they were 12 up. Or was it actually... Yeah, 12 up. Then it was 72-63. What the hell? That is so mental. What the fuck?
Started in the second quarter and lasted all the way to 6:30. Everyone involved. Don't blame the Wolf. Number 4, a perfect season.
Bitter rivals, bitter history, a leader of men, a history
Unity Shuri. He's got all his features in there. Come on.
2 teams that hated each other with such passion they literally wanted to take each other's heads off met in the playoffs. The Bengals, hoping to end their historic playoff drought, fell behind early and late into the third quarter, 15-0 without Andy Dalton or Giovanni Bernard. Some people forget about this. On the strength of strong defense and A.J. McCarron's arm, the Bengals furiously mount a comeback to take the lead 16-15 with a few fleeting minutes left. Captain Fatfuck, sidelined with injury, can only helplessly watch as his replacement, Landry Jones, throws a pick into the arms of Fontez Perfect. As he trots into the locker room in celebration, Cincinnati will get their first playoff win in 25 years.
What?
If they get the first down here, they can do their typical bungling and fumble the ball on the first play. That sounds incredible. Now the Steelers have another chance. Captain Fatfuck is injected with more painkillers than the average rodeo bull on a good day.
Why does he always call him
Slowly
that?
moves both himself and the ball up the field. Thankfully, they're not moving fast enough for their sake. As long as Cincy doesn't fuck everything up, oh, who am I kidding? They fuck everything up. Our lovely friend Vontez emerged from the locker room and decided he wanted to try out homicide on a defenseless receiver. 15-yard penalty. Of course, this wouldn't be complete without an appearance by the Pac-Man himself. Joey Porter is somehow out on the field because trolling or forcing a reaction. It worked though. Adam Jones got charged with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for touching the ref. I was stunned. The Bungles had that game won. All they had to do was not do that! Thanks to their own self-destruction, the Steelers kicked the game-winning field goal and advanced to the next round. If you ask any fan of that sad sack of a team, you will find out they are still broken from that game. I don't blame them, especially when the organization does nothing about it for a few more years. And now for the punchline. This game is probably the Bungles' highlight over the past 5 years. At least Mike Brown will die soon. Maybe.
Number 3, the Double Doink. Yeah, I had to do it. Did you Bears fans really think you could make it through this entire video unscathed? Poor Cody Parkey. Maybe the worst luck ever. But if you've ever been around unlucky people in your life, you know it isn't always bad fortune. The 12-4 Bears faced the 9-7 Eagles in the first round.
The record
Big
difference.
Dick Nick versus Mitch Kissin' Titties. We all know how it ends, but what have we forgotten? The Bears led 15-10 with 4:48 left in the game. Then their vaunted defense gave up a 12-play, 60-yard TD drive, including the score on 4th and 2. Cody Parkey had been a perfect 3 for 3 up until they trotted him out there with 5 seconds left. What makes this choke isn't bad luck. Oh no, Parkey had plenty of that. He had hit 6 uprights earlier in the year. What makes it a choke is he hit the practice one before a timeout. He was a good kicker, but he got iced. It was also blocked. Then, yeah, actually it's more hilarious than anything. Number 2,
Jesus
nothing
Christ,
to play
man.
for. It's hard to be American sometimes, isn't it? We're so big and bad. We have to be the best at everything, including soccer. Whether you care about the sport or not, know this. The USA, with all of its resources, should be able to be at least in the top 30 in the world at everything, if not math. And headed into their October 10th, 2017 matchup with the tiny island
For the
of
World Cup,
Trinidad
yeah.
and Tobago. All the US had to do was knock off last place Trinidad and advance to Russia. Yeah, no. The US started off pretty rough
This
by
was
scoring
nuts.
into their own goal 17 minutes in. Then Alvin Jones made it 2-0. Remember, Trinidad was in dead last and eliminated from advancement. They were basically playing for just pride. After the US made it 2-1, they inserted the Cody Parkey of US soccer, Clint Dempsey. He got stopped in the 69th minute and hit a post in the 77th. A last-ditch attempt was thwarted in the 88th minute. The U.S. took the L and failed to qualify after Panama won 2-1. Of course, this loss spawned an epic rant by Taylor Twellman.
Because this is an utter embarrassment with the amount of money that is in Major League Soccer and in this sport. You can't get a draw, a tie against Trinidad?
First world problems, eh? Before we get to the number 1, and unless you live under a rock, you know what it is, here are some honorable mentions.
Barca blows. Okay, so he is. This was meant. This probably should be a bit higher, but I understand that he does have to do American sports. This was ridiculous. I mean, if you know the context behind this, you'll know how crazy this was. Indians blow 3-1 lead to Cubs. Jordan Spieth blows 5-stroke lead at Masters. That's golf, right? I don't know too much about that, to be honest. MSU lose to... Oh, Jesus. 2nd seed versus 15th seed.
Now, for your number 1
So, number 1. What is number 1 going to
joke
be?
of the decade, 28-3. You
Oh.
knew this was coming, but before
Yeah.
we get to the collapse of
Of
all
course.
collapses, we had 2 28-3 meltdowns in just this year. Michigan State blew a 28-3 lead to Illinois in November, and the
Jeez.
following week, Baylor blew a 28-3
following
lead
week?
to Oklahoma, which may have ended up costing them a trip to the college football playoff.
What?
At halftime, Oklahoma players watched highlights of Super Bowl 51. And let's talk about that game, shall we? When I opened this video, I talked about what makes a choke, and this game is the defining example
Yeah,
of a team cramming
100%.
debris into their airway and
I'm surprised he
watching
didn't get Tree to do this one, but...
themselves
Because he
die.
loves
In
beaming,
Super
doesn't
Bowl
he?
51, the Falcons benefited in the first half from turnovers that led to scores. However, seconds before half, they surrendered a field goal to make it 21-3. The Falcons had a drive in the third quarter that extended the lead to 28-3 with 8:31 left, spawning this great screen cap. And from here is where they made a terrible chain of decisions, outright panicked, and pretty much outsmarted themselves. On the next drive, they let Brady run for 15 yards, convert a 4th and 3, and even after surrendering a TD, they benefited from a missed extra point.
Oh my, I
Desperate
didn't
New
even see
England
that
then
before.
attempted an onside kick and failed. Did we mention terrible decision making? After recovering, the Falcons got the ball on the Pats' 32. Rather than run the ball and get it closer and take the points, the Falcons chose to pass, commit a hold, and pass again. 3 points gone. You got the feeling, though, that they thought the game was over and this was just motions. After a New England field goal, Matt Ryan fumbled. Again, decision making as Atlanta, still with the huge lead, refused to eat clock. The Pats cashed in on that, and 2 points, leading to the moment where the collapse was nearly complete. That same aggressiveness the Falcons showed earlier seemed to pay off when Matt Ryan led the team down to the Pats' 22-yard line with 4:40 left in the game. We all thought it was over. 3 runs and a field goal would have given the Falcons an 11-point lead, the other side of the 2-minute warning, or the Pats with no timeouts down 2 scores. Instead, after a do-nothing run, the Falcons chose to pass the ball. Sack. Pass again. Holding. Pass again. Incomplete. Punt to New England. And I think we know the rest of the story. You can say I am looking back at the Falcons in hindsight, but we don't remember the near disasters team survived. We only remember the ones that ended up losing. The most frustrating part is that the Falcons thought that they were smarter than everyone, that they had to be clever to win. Gutless, stupid, unacceptable, the biggest choke of the decade, if not all time. But hey, enjoy the memes.
That's still one of the craziest ones,
Looks like
man.
the
It
Falcons
is
Twitter
of
account
the decade.
has, and yeah, choking is real.
Did they tweet that when they actually did that? No way did they just tweet that. If they did, I'm crying, bro. Oh
Choking
man,
is real.
you know Twitter had
Well, I
a
hope you
field
enjoyed
day
this
of
video.
that.
Please
I enjoyed this, man. I do like seeing these types of videos, but god damn, some of these were wild, man. I mean, it's only of the decade, so we're not obviously seeing things that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, but still, some of these, I mean, I do know, obviously, I do know of a few of these ones, but a lot of these I'd never heard of, and it's interesting to see. I mean, I'm guessing, in terms of memes, the Falcons is the most memed, isn't it? Like, you could see the sort of the Lakers, I always say Lakers, the Cavs versus the Warriors. Like, that was probably memed a lot. But this Falcons one, I just see it everywhere being memed constantly. Jeffrey Epstein was a big choker, but he didn't do it himself. Fuck's sake. If you choke away a lead but come back and win the games, is that Heimlich maneuver of sports? You think Falcons fans feel pain when they see the numbers 28 and 3 next to each other? The Lightning one is the most pathetic. Seriously, 62 win season, President's Trophy winner, only to get bounced in the first round. Pathetic. Edit. They did win the World Cup. Impressive. Sharks fans. C's title. Sweats. Already knows the Falcons will be one. At least we won something. Yeah, that's true. Positive way to look at things, right? At least you won. You won the biggest chokes, right? Positive way to look at it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. If there's any more of this guy's channel videos you want me to react to, I'll be down to just suggest under in the comment section what you'd like me to do with this channel, or maybe other videos similar. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.